So I decided to just pick out this single question from my recent office hours feature in Sync Academy because I think what Taryn is pointing out here and asking about is very, very important because I certainly have been shifting how I'm focusing our content in Sync Academy and what I'm really encouraging you guys to do in the face of AI technology coming to essentially disrupt our entire way of life and our industry. So I want to just pull this one out, make sure it doesn't get buried in, another video that would have 10 other questions or something like that. I want to make sure that I'm very, very clear on my take on his question. So I'm going to just read his question quick and then I'll give you guys my 2 cents, okay? So he's new to the Sync and a new member to the group, and you're going through the main Sync Academy courses as well as watching the older content, but also keeping up with the newer content here on YouTube as well. So he's probably been seeing a lot of the newer stuff I've been putting out there regarding AI. It seems like your older content looks like the main Sync Academy course is 2 or 3 plus years old. Suggests to make the best background music we can, while it seems like your newer content is telling us to make the best foreground music we can, due to AI starting to be able to make somewhat passable background music. Yes, that is absolutely what I'm saying. That is absolutely the shift in the focus that I've been putting out recently, and also pretty much exclusively what we're coaching and encouraging and showcasing how you guys can start doing in our new AI Proofing Your Music series in Sync Academy. So then he continues, so are you suggesting Sync producers start making a shift into full-blown foreground music and maybe start ditching what would be considered boring background music? Yes, I wouldn't call it boring background music. It's still very useful and obviously relevant for sync licensing opportunities, but you've got it exactly right. So I'm not going to be deleting any of that older content, though. You're absolutely right. When we first started Sync Academy, that's all we really were talking about mostly. Of course, foreground and placements and jingles and themes can come out of what we do, but they are so rare that it's not something that I was really encouraging you guys to focus too much on. I've just been coaching you guys in terms of what has worked for me in my career, which was kind of playing a numbers game, right? You get a lot of high quality tracks out there. You get a lot of, hopefully you get at least 2, maybe 3 music exclusive libraries that you're working with. You're supplying both of them, kind of comparing and contrasting how they're doing for you, and then getting enough background instrumental placements. Usually that's what you're going to get most of the time. Each one, some of them can be very small, some can be really, really large, but you kind of average out, $25 to $50 per placement. And you hopefully have enough that you can start to see it turning into part-time income initially, and then 2 to 5 year timeline, you can start to see potentially full-time income if you're consistent with this and keep building up those numbers. What I do see happening as AI technology starts to enter our field is potentially, of course, there could be hurdles that stop it. There could be legal challenges. There could be sort of just, ethical or moral challenges for people using AI music. Who knows, right? But let's not assume that things won't get disrupted. I say we prepare for the worst, hope for the best. So worst case scenario, AI music can come in and perform all of that background music for a TV show, maybe even films, video games for sure. It can do all of that much faster, cheaper, and probably even better than human composers can do it, okay? That will certainly be something we have to contend with. So, but why I'm not going to be just deleting all the old content is because all of the the philosophy, the strategies, and the guidelines, the golden rules, essentially, that I'm teaching you guys with the older content, with that background instrumental music primarily, all that stuff remains true as we are creating more artist-focused and, spotlight music. Let's just call it that, artist music, where you're going to be more trying to get vocals onto your tracks. You want to get more attention. You want to think more about getting themes and prominent placements, foreground music, just as you described here. But all of that in terms of creating an attention-grabbing intro, building your track consistently, maintaining the interest of the audience, creating interesting drops, interesting shifts in the dynamics, in the intensity of your music, keeping things focused in one singular direction in terms of your emotion, your genre, what you're doing there. Focusing now more on writing rather than just stacking up a whole bunch of instruments and tracks. You really want to make sure that the writing is just solid, both musically and vocally with the lyrics. So all the stuff that you've learned that you're going through with the older content is still very, very relevant, even though, yes, we are starting to change our focus and see ourselves more as sync artists, more as prominent foreground artists that are going to be probably not thinking more in terms of the number strategy and getting just tons and tons of background instrumental placements, even though that could still be relevant today. But again, I'm talking about 1 year, 2 year, 5 years down the road. If that's not in play anymore, I don't want you guys to be sitting there wondering what you're supposed to be doing with your approach. I want to get you guys ahead of the schedule, or ahead of the curve. So everything that we're talking about in terms of getting you guys to shift your focus, we're talking about a shift that'll be happening in our industry, I think, within the next 1, 2, 4, or 5 years, something like that. So it's not something that you're going to just snap your fingers immediately and be an amazing, full song producer with lyrics and vocalists. This is going to take some time for some of you guys to kind of build up your skills to get to that point. But I do want you to start thinking about it and start putting your tracks in terms of not thinking about it in terms of the boring background music, which is, I know, it's a lot of times of how we see what we do. But we got to sort of like shake that title and that sort of moniker that we've held on ourselves. And we do need to sort of step up the quality of our tracks, of our placements, of our just sort of our branding for ourselves. And we have some videos in the AI proofing series about how to now brand yourself as an artist and get a little bit more public attention through the social media outlets. Again, not getting lost in the rat race of social media, but just using it as a tool to kind of put yourself out there a little bit more visibly. So you kind of want to use all the strategies and all of the golden rules and all of the founding principles that you've learned in Sync Academy from those first tutorials that we put out. And then, yes, definitely watch the new AI Proofing Your series and kind of start to incorporate this new strategy alongside of what you learned with the first ones, okay? So I don't think it's worth throwing out all that stuff and saying, forget about it, we got to like relearn everything about sync licensing. No, we're not radically shifting that much. We're just basically taking our direction and our focus into a slightly new place, usually with much more human elements added to it. So that series as well, we're going to be adding a lot more tutorials to it. So it's not like it's a one and done thing. As AI improves, as AI adjusts, as new, realities sort of emerge, I've just now been learning about a new AI tool that essentially, allows sort of anybody to type in a prompt and find a relevant piece of music without having to know the genre, know the tempo, know the key, or any of that kind of stuff. A non-musical person can just type in a scene of a show and get some relevant hits from a production music catalog. So as these technologies sort of emerge, we have to constantly just readjust, reassess. Where are we? Are we still going in a great direction? Do we need to change? Do we need to backtrack a little bit? Do we need to adjust? You've got to be nimble in this. You got to be light on your feet. You can't be so married to one particular direction or another. That's what I'm definitely learning now as the world is changing very rapidly with this new technology. So I hope that explains where we're taking at least where I'm trying to guide you guys with this industry. If there's still something that's not clear, I'd love to just have you post a comment below, post a question, whether you're seeing this in Sync Academy or on YouTube. I'll post this publicly as well. Because again, yes, this has been a big shift that I've been making as I got really sort of first spooked on AI, but now I've become much more just comfortable with it and understanding that there are some things we can certainly do to maintain our power and relevance in this. But if there's something that's unclear, if you feel like I've done a 180 shift and you're like, whoa, I don't know where Jesse is now. Like if there's something that's really confusing you and you're not sure, let's talk. Like comment below, email me, jesse@syncmymusic.com. I'll do anything I can to try to be as clear and transparent as I can for where I'm seeing us go. The tricky part about all of this is everything that I taught you guys up until AI came into our world was all stuff that I knew worked because it was basically how I got to where I was in my sync licensing career, getting my income to the point where it supplied me with all of my income needed to pay all of my bills to literally just do sync licensing. AI comes into our world and nobody's got the answers now, right? And so that's where we're kind of in the Wild West here, where I can't point to my history and say, well, I went through the AI revolution. I'll tell you how we survived it last time. Nobody can do that right now, right? So all I can potentially do is be as open and curious and in touch with the professionals and the experts in this side of the world to try to inform you guys the best I possibly can. So that's really the best that I can offer you. And I hope, and I'm pretty confident, we can do a lot to ensure that we don't get run off the road here, so to speak, of AI generative music. That's certainly going to be getting better and better as time goes on. So that's what I got for you guys today. Hopefully that makes that clear. If you have any further questions, comments, concerns, leave them below. Would love to hear from them.